Hi there. Real quick before we jump into the episode. If you enjoy this episode or any of the other episodes, be sure to give us a follow or subscribe. It would also be great if you shared it with a friend, or better yet, left a review so others can know how awesome it is. Thanks so much. And now, the episode.
Hey there, Press Starters, and welcome to the Press Start Leadership Podcast, the podcast about game-changing leadership, teaching you how to get the most out of your product and development team and become the leader you were meant to be. Leadership coaching and training for the international game industry professional. Now, let me introduce you to your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Christopher Mifsud.
Welcome back, Press Starters, to another special edition of Conversations with Christopher. On this week's edition, we have the overlord of coaching for geeks, Robin Bates. Now, let me introduce you to the fabulous Robin Bates.
Well, hello there. Hi, Christopher.
Hello. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great to have you here.
It's always lovely to be called fabulous on the way into a room. I appreciate that. So,
well, I think it's one of my my many adulations to you is, but fabulous definitely always comes to mind. So I know, and I have a reason for why I consider you fabulous, but I'm not sure that all of my listeners and those who are reviewing this do know Robin Bates. So the way I always like to start every conversation with my guests is to find out what their origin story is. So Robin, can you please tell us the origin of the fabulous Robin Bates?
Well, we're going to have to go quite a long way back to the late 70s for the emergence day. Robin Bates.
Great day of celebration.
Absolutely. Very cold winter. In fact, apparently I popped out and turned blue. Wasn't due till the new year. Arrived just before Christmas. Just wanted an extra set of presents.
It's a good time.
Good times indeed. Nerdy kid growing up. Didn't really develop great social skills instead. Very much a gamer. In fact, I don't have a joypad handy, but there are numerous about me in this room. Growing up with a BBC Micro Model B, Spectrum 48K Plus, an Amiga A500, a Super Nintendo, 3DO, etc., etc. Didn't really develop strong social skills as a kid. And looking back now, I can see that, in all honesty, I was a very, very anxious young man. And rather than develop coping strategies, I turned to drink and drugs. I spent the majority of my time at university. I spent my student loan on a bag of weed, a bag of cocaine, and a Sega Dreamcast. So, fun time, but that's not how you succeed in education in a meaningful way. And I continued
in a meaningful way. Yeah.
In a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And I continued to sort of mask and have false confidence throughout my 20s through self-prescribing drink and drugs, with some terrible effects of getting airlifted out of music festivals. And I got viral meningitis, and it nearly offed me a few times. It wasn't until my late 20s when a series of accidents and chance, the company that I was working for was acquired by a much larger publisher. I was working in very unique learning and teaching publishing, and that enabled me to learn lots about learning styles and working styles and leadership and confidence and the way people are in the world. And I started to almost unravel myself, unpick the story of who I was. And then I got to London and carried on bimbling around in a kind of drink and drug fueled haze until, well, I continued that journey of accidental progression in my career. Went and spent some time at the Institute of Knowledge Transfer, and then was acquired by the Institute of Physics, and worked my way up there from an administrator to a professional standards manager, sort of managing people, managing projects, managing teams, developing as a leader. And it was there where they couldn't afford to pay me more, but there was a training budget. And that's where I really learned about, I did a certificate in learning and development programs, and I loved the coaching and the mentoring aspects of it. I just felt a real affinity for it. So top of the class, really sort of like, yeah, this is my oeuvre. I have found what I want to do. And me and another student jokingly went, oh, we'll set up a coaching practice together. And then, of course, we went on our way at the end of the training and didn't really think any more of it. And I took the next, what I thought, logical step in my career progression. Again, without really thinking about it. It paid more. It was in a similar field. And then one day, found myself on the way home. I'd got fat. I'd eaten all my feelings. 2 bacon butties every morning on the way in, and maybe a couple of sandwiches for lunch. And found myself crying on the London Underground on the Northern Line on the way home, wondering where had it all gone wrong. And at that point, I declared that was it. I was leaving London forever. I hated everything. I hated myself. I'd completely lost what little self-belief and confidence I had. I went, that's it. I'm leaving. And instead, what I did was I got an easier job, a simpler job, a job I could do without much stress, and spent a bit of time retraining, because everyone went, don't leave, do something with that coaching that you've been doing with your teams with amazing effect that you do with us. And so Coaching for Geeks was born after years of studying, of retraining, of learning neurolinguistic programming and coaching and more mentoring and integral eye movement therapy and cognitive behavior therapy, and we bundled it all together. And here we are. And now I help geeky content creators and entrepreneurs to grow their audience. And really, it's a mix of working on the inner stuff, the self-belief, the confidence, the having the guts to go, hey, will you come and do a podcast, and trying things and seeing what works. And part of it is the showing people how to do stuff like this.
Yeah. Well, I love the term entrepreneurs. I think that's excellent. And yeah, that's definitely you definitely see that in your group. And I mean that's definitely the reason how I met you, and one of the reasons why I've been inspired last over half a year, of getting to be a part of this community that you've created, and see all the learnings and everything, and all the people you've gathered, all these entrepreneurs you've gathered around you and rally around you. And as an overlord, that's very impressive. I mean, you have quite the the group of followers there, and they do it wholeheartedly. Like I see it there every day. So maybe I want to hear more about like what you're offering in Coaching for Geeks. Like where what's the current setup? So what are the offerings of someone who's looking for an overlord, or is an aspiring entrepreneur? What would they where can they find some of these bits and pieces that you're spreading now, which is, well, you have a lot of knowledge you're spreading, which is awesome. So I think we can cover quite a bit here. We're excited.
Let's do my best. Sometimes that when someone says that, one, thank you. There's one thing I've had to learn is to accept compliments, which can still be a struggle sometimes. And two is believing them. So that's one of the first offerings we have. One, believe in yourself, folks. because you're flipping awesome. What the actual offerings is the sort of the entry level is we have a free Facebook group called Coaching for Geeks, obviously on Facebook. And this is the community. This is where 1,600 of us have come together from a variety of backgrounds from all over the world. And everybody there is, I've been told I've created a safe space for geeks and nerds to hang out. It's not a traditional kind of geeky, it's not really discussing the minutiae of, I'm trying to think of an example here of Dragon Ball Z and who's the strongest and who would win in a fight between, Batman and Goku or something like that. But there is that underlying current of nerdiness and geekiness. There's a lot of memes and games, but ultimately it's helping people to grow their audience, to grow their confidence, to grow their audiences online. And it's such a odd mix of people who aren't creating content, who aren't business folks, to people who are quite well along in their careers, running their own businesses, incredibly successful, and everybody in between, from people who were starting out on Twitch to people who have got huge TikTok followings to people who are creating jewelry to other coaches and leaders of all sorts. And that's probably one thing I've noticed, is that everybody in there is a leader or becoming a leader of some sort in their own way, whether they realize it or not. So
it's very true.
That's your entry point. First offer in the free Facebook group, coachingforgeeks.com/Facebook, if you'd like to come and join us. We also have the blog, which probably has the more deeper dives into topic areas, so everything from why you might need a CRM to how to grow your YouTube channel to the kit you might need to start a Twitch stream, to we even have some board game reviews because companies love us and like to send us things to review. So that's where you get all your deeper dive into content specific areas around audience growth and around confidence and around careers and around all of these things that make up the whole of Coaching for Geeks. So we've got fitness stuff, we've got mindset and mental health and convention reviews and cosplay guides, all sorts on there. coachingforgeeks.com.
I want to just circle back because I know we've talked before, and you the community, and you mentioned it's kind of a safe space, but you've used another term before, which I think was very important about it, like a
it's not a safe space, it's a brave space.
Brave space, yeah.
Because any space can attract. Anytime you put something online, you've got to be able to assume that anybody might be able to see it. Anyone can screenshot, anyone could send that on. We have had instances quite recently where there was a little bit of ableist language that went on, and it was a brave space because people felt that they were able to speak up and say, hey, actually what you're saying isn't okay. And the person who put that post up was really open and willing to change what they put, to change the language that they'd used. They took that information on board and went, yeah, I really welcome this, thank you, and got something from that exchange. And then there was one person who maybe really dug their heels in and like, no, I will not listen to the people with disabilities who are telling me that I am wrong, actually. And everybody is too touchy these days. So that person went. If you can't play nice, you can bugger off.
There's a lot of options in this world, right? That's the thing. I think everyone feels like, oh, but this is my, I want this to be my space. Well, no, this perhaps is not the space for you, and there are other options out there.
Yeah. And that's one thing I've had to grow into as a community leader, is that it is my space to curate, and if people don't like what's going on, then I've got to stop and listen and pay heed to what's happening and make a decision and stand by it. And it, as a reluctant leader, it's been something that's taken time to grow into, rather than running off and hiding and asking my team to do it and be the bad guy.
Yeah. That's a fallback for a lot of leaders early on and so forth. And something they have to learn is, comes with the space is making the hard choices and not always having to be get to be the good guy all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, But I think if you're speaking from a place of authenticity and really do want to help somebody out, like, it's not being the bad guy. It's actually still being the good guy, right? There's still value there and everything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that individual considers me the bad guy, despite me trying to couch it in. Look, here's an opportunity for you to actually listen, pay heed, and grow.
Maybe in time they'll pick up on that.
Maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
Could be the catalyst. Yeah, you never know. You plant the seeds, right? So speaking of leadership, and this podcast and this brand is all about the leadership to a point. But how would you define good leadership?
It's contextual depending on the circumstances, but good leadership comes from somebody who will make their intentions clear, and those intentions should be aligned with the values of whatever the thing is that they're leading. Knowing your values and making them really clear, I think is really important for good leadership. And once you've done that, a lot of the other aspects of leadership can quite easily fall into place, including putting your hand up when you're wrong and saying, actually, I made a mistake there and I'm sorry, and this is what we've learned from it. I think that's really important. I've worked with so many leaders who think that's a sign of weakness and would refuse to do that and pass the blame on. Absolutely not. Being able to go, do you know what, kids? We fucked up there. Take it on the chin and learn and grow from it. So making your intentions clear, being flexible to changing circumstances, being there for your team, that mentoring, supporting, ensuring that they're continuing to grow and getting the opportunities to become sort of the best version of themselves, to gain XP, the skills that they need.
The level up, No, it's a lot of things though, right?
Yeah, there's so much that goes into becoming a good leader, and acknowledging that it's a constant learning experience. There's always things that you can do. As soon as you think, I am the best leader that I can possibly be, then you've kind of lost it as a leader.
I totally agree. It's an ongoing journey. It never kind of ends. There's always something to learn. But I think that's kind of the thing is, like, when you first start off in a career or in life and so forth, you're usually very eager to learn everything, right? And then you get to that point where you've gained a little bit of experience and you kind of like think, oh, there's nothing, I've done this before, I know everything. And then you kind of hit another point where you go, oh man, I still have so much to learn, and everything that I know is just one point of many more things, So
that Dunning-Kruger curve's very real in everything. Like, oh yeah, I'm getting great at this, I'm amazing. Oh no, there's so much more to learn, actually. Thank you very much. Please teach me, somebody.
So we like to ask this question because especially from folks all over the world, because I like food. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm always curious about donuts. And so, what's your favorite donut?
I come from a northern family. My mum and dad grew up in Blackpool, which is a seaside town, the Vegas of England. In fact, but on the seaside, so piers out into the sea, theme parks, casinos.
So it's more like the Atlantic City of.
Yeah, it's known as the Vegas of the UK, but sure, Atlantic City's probably
Atlantic City is the Vegas of New Jersey. So.
So plain ring donuts, what you get at the UK seaside, we don't have a lot of fancy kind of stuffed filled donuts outside of big cities. We don't have a Dunkin' on every street corner like Boston. It's a bit more of a rarity. So, and I also have type 1 diabetes. So
that limits some bit.
A plain old donut is fine by me. However, if I am in Boston, I am going to be going in and getting something filled with. I don't like jam in a donut or jelly in a donut. No, thank you. A custard or a chocolate or a cream of some sort. I'm also lactose intolerant. So, we're just going to shovel some sugar in and some lactose. Give me the lactase, give me some more insulin, and clear the room for a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just give you a room and curl in a ball.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. That does limit the fun a little bit. That's the thing, Yeah.
How about you? What would you go for? If
I'm a Boston cream. I grew up I just had memories as a kid. Like in the morning when my mom would drive me to school, sometimes we'd stop at the Dunkin' Donuts and we'd go in and we'd pick up a fresh Boston cream. So the chocolate glaze on top and then the Boston cream inside. It's on a donut, I was going to say, or a chocolate croissant, but that is a croissant with chocolate in it, which does not.
Yeah, I would much rather go for a pastry, a croissant. Maybe for ham and cheese if we're feeling savoury, or just plain bit of butter. Lovely.
Fair enough.
Put some cream on it. Why not?
Why not?
Let's ruin myself completely.
Go all hog on it. So for another aspect that we like to discuss is mindfulness a good bit. And everyone has their own way of dealing with mindfulness and finding their Zen. This last year has definitely been a crazy one for a lot of folks. And a lot of people have not been able to find Zen or have gone deeper because, what better time than isolation than the find one Zen. So how does Robin find his Zen?
I punch things in VR to find my Zen. That's how I get into a flow state. It's a game called X Booster on the Oculus Quest. I don't work for them. They're not my clients or anything. Icons come at your face. There's things to do, and you just punch them in the right angle, in time with the music. Games with the musical rhythm games with the musical elements, but with that physicality of punching things as well.
It's like Beat Saber.
Yeah, it is similar. Beat Saber's swinging. Punching.
More punching.
Yeah.
Right.
I've fiddled around with. I'm looking because I had one here. Colouring books and activity books. Quite like an activity book.
Okay.
That works for me. That's helped when I've felt particularly anxious. Where have I put the damn thing? I'd hold it up, and you could have put an affiliate link in, but no. There's a really nice one, which is quite gentle, and I don't like colouring in. I've always been terrible at staying in the lines, and I'd always get told off as a kid for going outside of the lines. That wasn't creative. That was you have to colour within the lines and do a good job. That's kind of how it was at school when I was little. And with the I have ADHD, which are quite poor motor control skills. I'm a little bit shaky, and my handwriting is appalling. I can't draw a stick man very well at all.
I'm right
these
there
are
with
all
you on that one.
These are all limiting beliefs, which I probably should work on, but they haven't really got in the way as an adult. But there's one of those activities, it's put down some 3 things you're grateful for today. Draw a dog, do a little maze, just do something that takes your mind off the activity. and
Those are
moves you
good.
into it. I'm so bored of walking. We were in lockdown for so long. I used to walk, and that would be enough. But
Mm-hmm.
my brain's gone, no, we're bored of walking these same streets over and over and over. It's only so far it'll go. So yeah, punching things in VR and
Yeah.
little activity books.
Okay.
Where
So
did yours come from?
mine, meditation. I
Mhm.
do a lot of meditation. I lucked out when I was 5. My mom was a New Age hippie. So she loved meditation. And so when I was 5, she was teaching me how to meditate. And so from there, I practice it. Not like, I won't say like I was intensely meditating at 5 years old. I learned it at 5. As I grew up, I started studying and following more. And it wasn't until I got into my 20s that like I applied more what she taught me, along with finding other teachers. So I kind of branched out: yoga, tai chi, qigong, standing, sitting meditation, energy movement in general, and even traveled a little bit of the world to through work, but also got to study with some excellent teachers. I'm also, this one always a little polarizing for folks. I'm also a big Osho fan. So depending on your standpoint on Osho, but actually when I lived in India, I traveled to the meditation resort that he has there, or he's no longer with us, but that's there, that teaches his different styles of meditation. So overall, like I probably practice about 30 different forms of meditation in some way, shape, or form,
Wow.
and pretty much make that a constant practice. So daily meditation, evening meditation, throughout the day, little calming moments there. I think it's really necessary because my personality is very swingy. So I'm an extreme. So I'm all in or all out. And I think the meditation helps balance that quite a bit. So yeah, it's how I get through the day, and it's how I think how people survive around me as well. So yeah.
I do a few breathing practices, but meditation is something I did a little bit when I was a teenager, when I was exploring things a bit, but I've found it really difficult to do as an adult. Like my brain is just so active, and it would probably do me the world of good to spend a bit more time
It's practice.
exploring it. Yeah.
It really is. Like I again, it's hard for me because I try, like my wife. I've gotten that she's now practicing quite a bit. But when she first started, she's like, I can't concentrate for that long, and I'm like, just a little bit here and there, and then you get to it, right? My advantage, again, I was being shown how to do it when I was like 5. So for me, it was like really easy. I just kind of step into it. It didn't seem like, but I get it where other people are like, oh, I can't do that or whatever. But I also think the big thing for meditation is removing the expectations of what you think you're supposed to be getting out of meditation. Because I think a lot of people's preconceptions of like, my mind's supposed to be empty. And it's like, in some cases, yes, but in most, no. You're just letting the thoughts come. It's more about release, right? It's like meditation lets you bring on what you need to be thinking about in that moment, and then learning to release it and letting go. And that's the tricky part, is the letting go part. So that's, you'll get a lot of thoughts sometimes in like some mornings I'm clear as a bell. Other mornings I'm thinking about the 8 gabillion meetings I have for the rest of the day and stuff, but it's great because it sorts me for the rest of the day. So yeah. But you actually, you have a great group in addition. So you talked about the website, you talked about the community, but you have now a regular thing going on. I know it's a little exclusive. There's definitely a bit of a wait here and there for it, but there are openings on occasion, and this is something that I'm a part of, so I can speak highly of this. It's something that I find a lot of value in, and it's helped me find a lot of focus. And it's the Coaching for Geeks Turbo.
It is. I can just go, all right. If I can lean far enough. I've been working on my core, so I can lean now. Coaching for Geeks Turbo. It's all that punching. It's really helped. Coaching for Geeks Turbo is my paid membership group, which it is exclusive in that it opens at the start of the month. We open on the 1st of each month, and it ends on whatever the final day of the month is, whether that's one of your Februaries or one of your Augusts, the short and the long months. And it's all about goal setting and accountability and group working and having a really supportive team of cheerleaders there who are rooting for you, who will commiserate with you, cheer you up, and get you to that goal that you set at the start of the month. And we start by having a one-to-one conversation, figure out exactly what you want to get out of a month in Turbo. And then every week we have a group session where we go, right, what's your goal this week? How did you do last week? And what's your goal in this coming week? And these conversations are where a lot of the magic happens, because it's not me telling everyone what they should be doing. It's more of an exchange amongst the people who were there, and everyone chips in and goes, have you thought of this? Have you tried that? Oh no, that's not worked. What about these? And people share ideas and chip each other along. And
it's awesome. And the stuff that you get out of it, like just from bouncing ideas or just being there, I'm careful to not call it a mastermind, because it's different than a mastermind per se, because it's such a variety of folks. But it's definitely, again, going into that nerdpreneur. What you use it? It was
nerdpreneurs.
Nerdpreneur, yeah. And there's a lot of those, but it's a mix, right? There's people that are doing their fitness goals. There's people that are doing they're like trying to build up their Twitch channel and their stream and everything like that, or their brand, or
someone's launching a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Someone's just tidying the house up because it's messy and they just want that focused time. One person joined to rethink their drop shipping business and went and did. You also get access to all the training that I've created on a platform, all the webinars and guest sessions and everything I've ever put together. And they've worked through that and had an epiphany that they have given their power away to authority quite a lot. I have checked I am allowed to talk about this outside of the group. They've given their power away to authority a lot, and they've had this revelation that they don't need to do what they're told, and they can do their own thing. And she's booked in.
It's exciting.
She's getting a pixie cut. She's dyeing it pink with a black fringe. She's like, I am going to be
a whole transformation is going on. It's exciting to be there and see that and support it. It's freaking awesome.
And then there's the people growing their business, people like you who are growing their businesses, and people like, I'm going to say Meredith, who's growing their business, and Annie, who's restructuring their business. So it's a real mix of people, but I'm careful about who we let in. So we keep that culture and my values of fun and respect and all of those things,
which I think is awesome. And I think the best way, if this sounds like already you're like, oh man, I really like what Robin's putting down. My best suggestion for you, if this is something that's interesting, is to check out obviously the free group and become a member. Get involved there and kind of just, you don't have to be posting, just kind of read and see. You get very quickly you can tell the vibe of the group and the organization and everything like that, and it's excellent. Join Robin's mailing list. There'll be a link in the show notes for all these things, but join the mailing list because Robin does send out again, this is some of the fabulous weekly reports on the things that are going on in the group, what he's doing, and again, I think it speaks volumes to the Turbo group. And then also when there's openings, you get reminders that there's an opening and a chance. Or if there's not an opening, you can also get on the waiting list, which is also available through that. So I think all of these things are excellent pieces. And I know we talked about I think there's like so much more to Turbo, but I think we've covered the key pieces because I really do think that there's a lot more to Turbo in of itself. It's a value, that's for sure.
What else is there? There's the daily accountability posts, 2 a day, so people get tagged in every day to ask what you're doing, and then at the end of the day, did you do the things you said you'd do this morning when you were filled with beauty and wonder for the day ahead before life?
It's true.
Battered that out of.
A lot of daily goals, mine included, get shattered very quickly off of the And if you just want to get a sampling of that though, just being in the free group every Monday, we all set it's Monday. Every Monday we set our weekly goals. too. So even if you're not in turbo, there's still a little bit of accountability and a nice tasting of what goes on there. So
what's the last bit? Co-working sessions as well.
Yeah.
So we just get together and sit on Zoom, go have a bit of a chat. And go, right, everyone, what are you doing? Go around the group, get our heads down and get on with work.
Yeah.
And people do just go, right, I'm tidying my house. And you quite often see people singing their hearts out to whatever they're listening to.
I'll be honest, I'm always super worried that my music's like audible to like, because the way my audio is all set up on my computer, I never know what's actually muted and what's not, even when I'm muting on Zoom. So I'm like, I'm not going to play any music because I'm worried that everyone's going to be hearing me.
Do it.
Hopefully somebody will just tell me when I'm on one of those. But yeah. So so you play games.
Yeah, I do.
Board games and the board games, tabletop role playing games, or just board games for the most part?
Yeah, both.
Both. Okay. So do you have a favorite? Like what all time or go to? Let's go with go to. What's your go to tabletop game that, if you were in a pinch and you're like, man, I want to play a game with some friends, this is the game that you're just going to grab the box? Or
Oh God, that's a big question. It depends on the group and it depends on the time. But Deep Sea Adventure, because it comes in a little box like that, so you can throw it in your bag and take it anywhere, which is excellent. It's pretty easy to explain. It plays quickly. You can put it in any size space because it's little tiny tokens that lead a trail. Okay. So you can fit it on a small table in a pub, or you can fit it on a great big table, and it will expand or shrink to fit the space. And it's really fucking brutal. You're all deep sea divers, but you are cheap, and there's only one tank of oxygen between you, and you travel down. It's a roll and move, but the dice only go up to, they have 0, 1, and 2 and 3 on them, I think. And so you travel down. You only start using up oxygen once you've picked up pieces of treasure and the tokens that you travel down on the trail. The treasure, that could be anything between the top level are worth very little. The further deep you go, the more points they get, from sort of 0 to 3 to 20 to 25 at the bottom. But as soon as you start picking up treasure, it slows you down, and it also means you start to consume oxygen. So the tracker starts going down very quickly as people are picking up treasure. And if you get greedy, then it slows you down so much that you end up drowning at the bottom of the ocean and everyone laughs.
Only fair.
And it's just an absolute delight because you're egging each other on. You push, go on, go for it. You can pick up one more, knowing that some prick right at the top who's only got 1 point is going to turn around and head back and do muzzle. It's a lot of fun in a very small box for about £15.
Yeah, that sounds very good. And you actually said something that I never really thought about. The pub size, right? Like pub size games, because there's plenty. I mean, I've gone to plenty of pubs that have games. The problem always is they're usually too big for the space that's allotted in a pub, right? So it's kind of ironic that, I guess that's not the word, but kind of stupid. That like the pubs are set up, they have the space, but they don't have the space. Yeah. Right. So I like the idea of pub size games. There's probably more of those out there that I'm just not aware of, that I just need to be like, what are pub size games? Because that actually sounds like a great niche that should be out there, and it probably already exists. But
Oink Games do a lot of these little quite small box size ones. So it's quite a light entry. It's not. It doesn't have a huge amount of tactical depth, but it's, if you're in a pinch. Deep Sea Adventure.
It sounds like it's got a lot to it, right? Playable trackers, some kind of strategy in there. So for a simple game, it's actually, I feel like, has a lot. As a former game designer, it actually sounds like it's got a lot of depth to the design itself. So it's actually pretty cool.
Absolutely smashing game. But on the other hand, I'm like, no, let's play Mansions of Madness version 1, which takes over 2 tables. It takes an hour to set up. If you get one thing wrong, the whole chain of events is broken and you have ruined the game. And it takes 5 hours to play. And love it. Much better than the app version. Sorry, folks, version 2. is trash.
Sorry, it's how I feel about anything past second edition Talisman. So yeah.
with all the extra corners that just keep expanding out of it.
Everything. But
you must roll exactly to that. No.
Yeah. It's definitely has its flaws too.
Do you have digital Talisman on Steam?
I've seen it. I've not picked it up. I need to. What I also need to pick up is the tabletop, like the role playing game version of Talisman. It's actually written by a couple of my friends. So I'm like, and I asked them though, is it as brutal? So I asked them when they were writing, and I said, is it as brutal? Like, will you lose friends over this game in tabletop? And they're like, no.
Then it is an affront to the name Talisman.
Talisman's all about losing friendships. That's what that game's for.
No, that's diplomacy, surely.
Diplomacy too.
Oh, what's the one with Barrow Trauma? Have you played that?
Mm-mm.
That's 2D Among Us on a submarine that flies through space.
Well, it just sounds cool.
It's
got a good setting.
Yeah. It's got that kind of Lovecraftian, otherworldly menace about it, and you're just trying to keep your space submarine going. And then why does it keep breaking? Is it you? Let's batter you to death with a pipe and find out.
Oh, best way to settle most.
Right. That's my style of leadership.
Don't follow that.
No, it's not. I'm a nice guy.
So on the video game side of things, are you PC, console, handheld, electronic devices? What are you like? Where do you go for your digital play?
Yeah, I'm platform agnostic. Wherever's got the games that I want to play, I will go. However, I only really got a decent gaming PC last year, fortunately, just before the GPU crisis. So I've got my beast under the desk. That's raw. The fans roar a little bit. I've cleaned her. But she's a noisy beast. But I've got a PS4 and a Switch and a Wii U and Oculus Quest and a variety of older systems knocking about. I've still got a Dreamcast somewhere.
But Dreamcast is solid. It's a solid. Like at that time, that's the generation right after the Genesis, right? Dreamcast. So yeah.
Yeah, no, Saturn came after.
Oh, Saturn.
Genesis.
Okay, no, you're right. Yeah.
But had Nights into Dreams, phenomenal game. Dreamcast was Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, Power Stone.
That weird game with the fish dude.
Seaman.
Seaman, yeah.
Narrated by Leonard Nimoy, yeah.
So many classics.
Yeah, it was terrifying, that game, and it learned things and it would repeat them back and get yourself in mischief.
There were some really cool early AI games that people don't pay attention to. That was one, and I felt like the original Black and White was actually super smart. The minions that you could your big beasts that did the things for you. There were things that thing picked up on that I was just like, oh. They lost it somehow in the sequel. The sequel.
Oh, right.
But the first one, you could do things like where you had a fireball, you throw the fireball, like you teach it to play catch, and then you teach it to catch a fireball, and it'll learn to catch a fireball, and then you'll learn it to throw the fireball at your enemy. Right. Nice. So it was like, that is amazing. Couldn't do that in the second one for whatever reason. But
I wonder if it's on EA Play. I've never played Black and White. Was it EA? Did EA publish it? It was Lionhead.
It was the Fable guy, right?
Yeah, Molyneux.
Yeah.
Spore is on there, which I played for the first time recently. And
man, that game. I mean, again, I never get disappointed because I know they hype those games too much. But Spore, I was so excited about from like all the talk when it was like, oh yeah, you can do this and do this. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's gonna be amazing. And then I got it. I'm like,
not a great game.
I'm like, it's okay, but. Did not live up to the stuff, but that's like Fable, right? Like when Fable was sold, and like, oh, if you go around and murder all the redhead women will wear kerchiefs and hide, because that didn't happen either. Like, also, why would you be doing that? But anyway, but I was like, actually, that speaks to their marketing team a little bit. Why did you pick that as the example for like? Because that literally I didn't just make that one up. That was literally like the big selling point for that.
I remember that. I remember Peter Molyneux talking about, if you plant an acorn at the start of the game, towards the end of the game, the tree will have grown. And of course, no, it just wasn't capable of doing that. It was a fun action RPG romp. But
I mean, I've played all of them and I love them all, like for what they are. But what they weren't is a lot of things. So
have you played the Connect one?
Connect, yes.
Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually I was musing with my wife today because we were going through my library on my Xbox, and she was like, "Oh, Dance Central." I was like, "Can you do that?" I was like, "I need to get a Connect to do that again," because I used to love the hell out of that. Like, yeah. I think I was one of the few fans of Connect. Like, I know there's a lot of people who were like, Connect's stupid or whatever. Like, I mean, I used the excuse that I bought the Connect in order to do the voice commands for Mass Effect. I think it was Mass Effect 2. You could like give commands through. No, I bought it because of Dance Central. Like,
yeah, no, there was some great games on there. Dance Central was fun. There was another dancing one by Konami, which was more of a B-Marny, Para Paradise style sort of.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that one. Yeah.
There was the one by Double Fine, the Happy Action Theatre. That was phenomenal, with a room full of drunk friends, and so all of a sudden the room was filling with lava and people were burning to death in it. And then
that one was good fun.
Now with butterflies playing Breakout, and it's just bonkers. Lovely stuff. Loved it.
I pitched a giant monster Connect game that just sadly didn't go anywhere. You play the giant monster and you destroy the cities and everything, because I thought that would just be like, I still think it'll be good fun, and I still probably maybe.
Yeah, I would play that. Absolutely.
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah, and there was the one where it was like a puzzle game, but you had to be the bridge for the little guys to walk over, and there was a hole in the wall, and so many great games. Which, if they'd have,
it's the novelty part though, right? Like, so everybody was building on the novelty of it, and it's like any kind of cool game ideas. It's like, all right, now you've gone past the novelty. What else can you do with it? And I think people just kind of, and for whatever reason, like, even though, like, I think the Wii, right? People were doing a lot of stupid stuff and people were having fun doing it. I'm guessing this again. I have no proof of this, whatever. I'm guessing that your typical Xbox player versus your Wii player is maybe a little bit more self-conscious about the stupid shit that they do in front of their home monitoring camera system. Maybe. But it's a shame.
Hey, it was supported a bit better than the PlayStation Move, at least.
True that. I actually made a game for the PlayStation.
Did you?
I made a couple, actually. It was the Lights Party Action. Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't know that about you. Yeah, it was a fun one. Yeah. I gave a lot of feedback and support for that game. It was good fun. But yeah, I think we used the controllers in that, and then it was like nothing else. What you could use it for, I guess, all the controllers for is the PSVR.
Yeah.
So you have to go back a system to get the controllers.
Yeah.
To work in the current system.
And they use the old USB rather than mini or micro, like the fat ones. But it is great for Johann Sebastian Joust, which if you run it off a Mac, you connect all your moves, and it's the game where
I'm not sure you're talking about.
Yeah,
you trying to get as close as you can to the other person, right? Is it
or you want to jiggle them, and if your move moves faster than the beat or the rhythm of the track that's playing, then you're knocked out. It goes red, and you're eliminated from the game. It's so much fun. You could obviously play it much more low tech with wooden spoons and lemons.
Okay, fair enough.
Lemon jousting.
Yeah, okay.
But it's really good fun with, especially in a slightly darker room with these glowing orbs moving around slowly, and the music gets faster, and everyone picks up. And then, oh no, stop. It's going slow again.
I remember that one. It was popular. They showed it off a couple times at GDC, or at least once at GDC that I remember seeing. So it was pretty cool.
You can download that. It is part of Sports Friends by Good Fabric, which was a collection of mini games, and you'll find my name in the credits there because I backed it on Kickstarter. That's it. You can carry on. Bring yourself back.
Fair enough.
It's not much of a story, though.
But what's your we covered some games. What's your favorite game of all time?
Res.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite video game of all time is Res, which I've bought on the Dreamcast, PS2, PS4, Xbox, PC, Oculus, Quest. And again, it's a Zen thing for me. That mixture of it's a shooting game, but it's rhythm action at the same time. It has a lock-on and paint effect. It's all very Tron-looking graphics, very stark, neat lines, which works for me. Back when I was getting high and doing acid and stuff, I always wanted sort of very industrial things to look at. Friends would be like, "Oh no, let's go out in the garden and look at the grass." And I'm like, "No, I want steel and concrete and brutalist structures to look at. That will do it for me." And I think that's carried on in the Zen.
But
that I have. Yeah. And it has a lovely lock-on paint, let go, and it'll shoot in time to the beat. You build up, you're hacking the system, and it builds up in intensity and effects, and the beat gets harder, and it's so Tron. It's ridiculous.
But Tron's excellent, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. It can be as Tron as it wants to be, and that's cool.
My heart's beating. I've got very excited there.
Reminds me now of me staring at the marketplace this morning, going, "Oh, I should buy the new enhanced version of Mass Effect." Even though I then went to my library later and saw that I still have all the original versions of it, and it's like, am I going to buy it just for the graphical improvements? Like, are they really going to make Liara not look as ghastly ugly as she did? And that's part of the charm of the original game, was just how ugly that character was.
I was so disappointed after all that romancing Tali that didn't get to, like, it wasn't like
oh yeah, you underneath the mask. You never see the mask off. Yeah, I've actually, that was one of my favorite romances because I think I did all of them multiple times over. Because I definitely played through the game at least 6 different times, based off of all the originals. Like, to get all the, it's one of the few games that I get all the achievements for as much as possible. And I don't like playing super hard versions of the game, but I'll do it anyway for that one, just to get the last of the achievements.
The only game I ever got all the trophies for on PlayStation was Hannah Montana, the movie, the game. That's a fun fact for you. Sorry, back to Mass Effect. You were about to tell me something more about Liara.
I was going to say, I was going to comment that during this whole COVID thing, I kept thinking to myself, I was like, man, we're getting really close to having to be quarantines, aren't we? But I really still hope that's not the case. But yeah, the only game I've actually gotten 100% on was the reboot of Tomb Raider. So not like the first of the 3 now, I guess. Yeah, I did that one. Ran all over the place. Found all the stupid shit. Don't know why. Like, but yeah, Metroidvania games though get me. Like, especially in those are fun for me.
High hopes for Prime 4.
Oh yeah. The game I'm actually super excited about, and I pre-bought today, a couple weeks early, is Biomutant. So I'm looking forward to Biomutant. I think that game's going to be. I hope it's as good as I think it's going to be. If you haven't checked it out, you can make you're like your own anthropomorphic looking dudes. So I'm going to make a bat looking one, and I'm going to call him Batman Do. I've already created my own little.
I played it at PC Gamer Weekend about 3 or 4 years ago now.
Oh yeah,
a long time ago.
It's been a long time in progress.
And it was slick as fuck back then. It was like, wow, this is going to be something special. And then it's disappeared for years. So, wow, let's hope it is.
I do. Fingers crossed that's the game I'm going to be playing the hell out of in a couple of weeks. But, yeah. So, I asked this question of everybody. And and everyone I get on is a specialist in some way, shape, or form. That's the thing that they do. You've told your story, how you got there, but perhaps someone doesn't want to go through all the drugs and the drinking and the hitting bottom part. If they wanted to get into like leadership or or coaching or mentoring and so forth, what steps would you recommend to someone who's looking to get into doing that?
Find yourself a mentor or a coach, someone who's doing what you want to do and is willing to take you on, and at the very least just have a conversation with you and talk you through what they did, what you could do, what opportunities and resources are available to start that journey. And hey, I think there's a site called Press Start Leadership that would be an excellent place to start.
There is, but I also understand that there's a place called Coaching for Geeks that also would be, I think, an excellent place to start as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to teach you how to be a coach or necessarily a leader through my content, whereas you would. I can help you grow your self-belief and confidence and your audience. But I think you're better off coming to someone who's more of a specialist in that field. And it depends where you want to be a leader as well. But doing things like playing Dungeons and Dragons and being the dungeon master, that's such a great way to develop leadership skills and thinking on your feet and improvising when someone decides that no, they don't want to talk to the obvious person in the tavern that is clearly the quest giver, but who's this person over here who's juggling, and you have to suddenly come up with a name and they're going to interrogate them and you have to be literally everybody else in the world. That's
role-playing games, improv. I think those people who have those skills, and I think that's the advantage nerds and geeks have that they don't realize, is that they spend a lot of time in worlds being different characters, thinking about different characters. And honestly, like business, dealing with different groups of people is a lot about putting on the right mask at the right time and being the right character and presenting things, right? I mean, you have to be authentic still, right? Like at the core of it, you like, and that's, I mean, I think from my experience of role playing for years, every character I play has the true essence of me somewhere in that character anyway, regardless. So as long as you're keeping that authenticity there, those are great skills to have. So yeah, I agree. Like that's the thing. And you touched on another part that I always like to bring up. And I think, I mean, we're finally getting out of the quarantine and everything like that, but we do still live in a day and age where connectivity to people is so much easier now, like accessibility. So if you want to find a mentor or whatever, like I highly recommend what you've already said is reach out to somebody and just say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. I love it when people write to me. I will respond back. I find the sad thing is usually the conversations kind of die off after a little while. So I think it's really people. I think if you want to do it, go in, just be respectful of people's times or whatever. But I really feel like there's tons of people out there that are in your field, what you're doing, that are more than willing to share their experience and their knowledge with you. And so, you know, if people are willing to, now they're not all going to say yes, right? You're probably going to have to, it's a numbers game a little bit, right? But somebody will say yes. And when they do, you know, be respectful of their time and like take advantage of that. Use that moment to be like, hey, I have questions. People will do it. I think it's, you know, people, it's that whole getting over the fear. It's like you said earlier, like training people to be better in what they do is getting them to get the courage to ask, you know, people to be on your podcast or to be, you know, in your group or to guest blog or host something or answer some questions for you for just even an interview. Like you don't even have to, you know, just putting yourself out there, but it's scary. And I get that. It is like rejection's scary and people are always afraid. But honestly, I think when I coach people to get, you know, how do I ask for a raise? Ask. You know, how do I how do I get a job in another country? Apply. Right? Like the first step is doing it. Now, the fear of like how it's going to be, but chances are most people are just going to say either, well, most likely ghost you nowadays, which sucks, but say no, or, you know, maybe say something ridiculous. Generally they won't. Like most, if they're going to respond to you, they're going to probably say like, yeah, sure. Or ask more questions on what you want exactly. But
yeah. It's my former mentor's catchphrase is shy kids don't get sweets. It's true. If you don't ask, you don't get. There's no harm in asking.
I was not a shy kid, sadly.
You did well at Halloween. Huh?
I did really well at Halloween. Yeah, just to tell the personal. So I had babysitters, and the way my parents handled like the babysitter having to deal with me is they would buy a box of cookies, and the babysitter would take the box of cookies and give me the box of cookies, and I would eat the box of cookies, like the entire box of cookies. Right. And it wasn't like spread out over a week. So I was a husky child. I'll put it that way. I know some people don't like that term, and it definitely leaves some, you know, childhood scars. The word husky. We're going to the store to buy some new pants. We're going to go to the husky section. Like no. It's that line right between adult and kid. It's just like, yeah. But
see that I don't think we have that term over here, and it really confused me when
okay.
Like, what the husky section? Dog? What?
Yeah. No, there's definitely that, but no, it's not. It's it was like something. Yeah. I want to say it came out in the 80s. I think it really was like a term they tried to come out for, like
slightly larger child.
Yeah, the hefty children. But yeah.
But yeah, reach out to people, because I've quite often the fear comes from, I think that people think, oh, well, I want to be a coach. They're a coach. They might think that I'm trying to intrude on their territory or copying them. Nah.
But it's like I say for success. There's so much success out there that you don't have to worry about it. It's like, even as a generalist, you're not going to compete, right? Too much. I mean, like there's going to be overlap here and there, but chances are like you're not going to be able to serve everyone, and they're not going to be able to serve everyone. And the thing is, you're not going to be a fit for every client, and they're not going to be a fit for every client. So it's going to come down to it. Like it helps the network or whatever. It helps to support folks. There's a good chance in the future if you have too many clients and you're like, oh, I know this guy or girl who is doing this thing and they're really good at this, maybe push them in that direction. Mm-hmm. I always kind of check to see like, okay, what are you looking for as a leader, right? Who are you serving? What do you want to do specifically? Because it may not necessarily line up with where I am. And thankfully, I love all the people that like I run into that are in my stuff. So I'm more than happy to toss them over to somebody else and be like, hey, you should talk to this person because they're excellent with, you know, marginalized groups or up and coming groups. Or it sounds like you're looking for, you know, someone that's more like you, you know, and that helps, you know, find the right fit for you. There's like different strokes for different folks, and plenty of options out there in this world. And there's like, you know, there's like plenty of success. It's not like pie doesn't run out, right? You can have all the success in the world, so, and share it, and then be happy for other people for it.
Yeah, and sharing it is that thing. Like when people come to me for questions, advice, pointers, like, oh, hey, why don't you write this up for the blog? And then I get a piece of content, they get backlinks, everybody wins. It's the audience gets a great bit of content, as long as it is a great bit of content. Don't publish any old trash.
Sure. Sure. Good quality.
Speaking of which, you might spot a piece of content about new leaders from Press Start Lead. Point the right way. Press Start Leadership here.
No, it's true. It's true. And I really enjoyed writing that one. It was good fun. So, I think Robin, for me, because I asked Robin, I said, what are the kind of things that you know, leadership stuff that you know, your team and people were looking for, and he definitely, you know, it was like, it's good. It's a good bit of advice, right? Beginning leaders, they're the first ones. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. So
Okay.
yeah, check out those golden nuggets there. There's some good ones.
It's just gone out on Instagram actually as a post. So
Ooh.
let's
Oh,
get lots of
you're using that new feature on Missing.
Oh, Missing Glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to. Instagram is the one spot where I don't want to. I have too much. Missing Letter sends out a lot to all my different social networks, and I need to keep a closer eye on Instagram. But I'll take a look over that on Instagram. Make sure that
it's only allowed to post there once a day on the calendar that I've set up.
Oh,
so it's not going to overwhelm.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, very cool. So, Robin, I really do appreciate your time today, but I would like to ask for one more reminder for the listeners and those viewing. Where can they find you?
Very easy to find. If you type Coaching for Geeks into any of your devices, we will pop up. But if you want specifics, you can find the website coachingforgeeks.com. Join the free Facebook group, coachingforgeeks.com/Facebook. Meanwhile, over on the homepage of the website, if you click at the top where it says CFG Turbo, you can find out more about Coaching for Geeks Turbo and apply to be in the next round of Turbo. I'm on Twitter at Coaching Geeks, Instagram at Coaching for Geeks. Sorry, they are different. Twitter just doesn't allow enough letters in the username. But if you follow me on Twitter, I'll probably be posting pictures of the beautiful sky or a friendly cat that I've encountered. It's not very coachy out there. Chris, you've turned into a dot in the corner of the.
I think, it's sadly. I think we've run to the.
No!
I think my camera decided I wanted to turn into a pumpkin. So
we're out of time. I'm in charge now. Welcome to the Press Start Leadership Podcast, where all your dreams will come true.
It's true.
Just hit me up on anything. I'm quite an open book. You can find me. You can chat to me.
I highly recommend it. Robin is, as I said, a treat and very fabulous, and honestly one of the most generous beings that I've had the pleasure of meeting. So,
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Thank you so much for being a guest and sharing your journey and what you're doing now. And I hope many of them join us over in Coaching for Geeks, because it is a great community that I think there's a lot that our listeners here can get some value from. So I hope they take advantage of that.
Yeah, me too. It'd be great to have some of your awesome Press Start gang along for the CFG ride. Thank you for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure, Christopher.
Yes, always a pleasure, Robin. Thank you. That's this week's episode of Press Start Leadership Podcast. As always, thanks for being awesome. And if you haven't yet, make sure to give us a follow. Till next time. If you haven't downloaded my free ebook, 5 Heroic Leadership Skills, click on the link in the description. Tune in next week for your next episode of Press Start Leadership Podcast. Thank you. Oh, hi there. The episode's over, but thanks for sticking around till the end. If you're on the quest to elevate your team's leadership, production, or game design capabilities, I'm here to assist. Leveraging extensive experience and a strategic approach, I offer personalized audits, bespoke workshops, and leadership retreat facilitation to drive your team toward excellence. My commitment is to provide efficient, reliable, and proven support, ensuring you have the tools and insights needed to thrive. Ready to unlock your team's full potential and achieve unparalleled success? Don't hesitate to press start on your journey to transformation today. Feel free to reach out directly to discuss how we can tailor a solution to meet your unique needs and goals. Let's connect and take your team's performance to the next level.